What are icons, and are they a reflection of what Jesus, a saint, or an angel actually looks like, or are they rather an artistic representation of what they may have looked like?
Well, the classical definition of icons, which many people have probably heard if they've looked into this, is that an icon is a window into heaven. So it's a little bit different than a portrait because it's not a depiction of the person as they were on earth. It's supposed to be an image of them glorified in heaven. Even when Christ was glorified himself and he appeared to Mary Magdalene and some of the apostles and the people in the New Testament, they didn't immediately recognize him. And that's because his glorified body, as St. Paul says, is changed. It's not, your corrupt body, your earthly body is like a seed. And your glorified body is somehow different in appearance. It's altered. And we don't know exactly what that means, but icons are not meant to represent the person just strictly historically. However, I want to say this. There is definitely a tradition where the saints are depicted in accordance with how they appear. And many times a saint will appear to some pious person after they prayed a lot. And then they'll say afterwards that when he or she appeared to me, they looked just like they did in their icon. So there is an established tradition, and sometimes depending on the artistic expression, like there's the Russian realist style that's more Western art oriented. I see icons sometimes that are like, whoa, I didn't even recognize that saint. I had to read the name. In particular, I'm very, very close to St. John the Theologian, who's like my patron, and I know what he looks like. I know his icons in the Greek tradition. He wears like a red purple robe, and he's balding with a big forehead, represents wisdom, and he's got a white curly beard, and they depicted him in one of these Russian icons, and I didn't know who it was. And I was like, that's St. John. I'm like, I should have known that, but I didn't. So sometimes there's artistic expression, but there is a tradition where if it's to be an icon, it has to be referencing another icon of that saint, and this goes back to history, and so it is established in what the saint actually looked like, and many times it's accurate to one degree or another, although it may not be completely accurate depending on the iconographer and depending on when the saint lived and other things like that. So the purpose is not to depict something strictly earthly. It's to depict a spiritual reality in the form of the person who actually lived, just like it is with Christ. Yeah.
Yeah, and another thing I would like to add is that Saint John Chrysostom has a relic of his ear, and I believe the story behind why it's his ear specifically is apparently Saint Paul whispered something in his ear. Are you familiar with this?
Yes, I saw that relic a few weeks ago, actually, at Vatopedi.
Wow.
A picture of it, yeah. They had his skull in a case, and they have a little door that they open, and you could see the ear in there. I took a picture of it. Yeah, that's the tradition. I think it was I don't know I haven't read the actual account, but I think it was probably I can't remember his name. I think it's Proclus or something. It was one of St. John's disciples, anyways, was walking by his cell, and they heard talking, and they a few nights in a row, or they peeked in. I don't know if they heard talking. They peeked in the keyhole, and they saw him at a desk writing, commenting on the scriptures, and they saw someone whispering in his ear, and tradition says it was St. Paul that was inspiring him with the things that he was saying, commentary on the scriptures of St. Paul's writings. So that's why his ear is said to be incorrupt. I also saw St. John Chrysostom's left hand as well, which is also incorrupt. And his right hand is incorrupt in the form of blessing like this. That's in Philotheo Monastery. I did not go there, so I didn't see that relic. But after 1,600 years, still incorrupt, some of these things. Incredible sign of God's holiness in these people.